Most spiritual girlies think that alignment is the key to your success, which there's nuance here, but stick with me, okay? Because about 90% of the time, when you're saying something like this isn't aligned, and then you fuck off and go do something else, it's actually that lie that's keeping you stuck. It's keeping you earning way less money than you know you should be. It's keeping you wondering what the hell is going on because most people, when they say this isn't aligned, are not listening to their intuition. They are listening to their fear. And that discomfort that comes with starting something, even if you were excited about it first, the discomfort that comes makes you look at something within yourself that is not aligned to the next level that you are walking into. And I know this because I did it for years. I would, do a strategy or learn a strategy and be like, oh, this isn't aligned. Stop the thing, start something else. What's also going on here is you get something that's called the decay high from the Dunning-Kruger effect, where when you start something, your confidence is really high, but your competence is really low. And the longer you go on that journey, the more you realize that you don't know. So your confidence gets lower, but your competence gets higher. And if you would just keep going, after your confidence bottoms out, you would go back up, you would be competent and confident, and that's when you skyrocket. So a lot of us do this thing because we don't know. We don't know any better. This is why I'm making this video, by the way, because we don't know any better. And what I used to do was really sell myself out because I didn't realize that a part of me needed to upgrade, even though I did. Even though I did. See, what a lot of people are doing is, and me included, okay? Not like I am not, can't think of the word right now, exempt from this behavior because it's a human experience. It's fucking code. It's who we are, it's what we do. A lot of people are walking around protecting their limitation and also not just protecting it, disguising limitation as desire, as values, and settling for way less than you actually want to experience, and then wonder why things aren't working. Same thing with like affirmations. Oh my God, I was the biggest affirmations hater for so long. And I think that there's a lot to be said in this. I think that there's a lot of, this alignment situation that has to do with you following your curiosity, right? So for me, let's use affirmations. A lot of people treat affirmations like there's some kind of magic spell that you say that are just going to change your whole reality. In actuality, I call them power statements, and I don't consider them to be affirmations. I consider them to be choices. They're choices that you're making, they're promises that you're making to yourself. It's a dedication to yourself, it's a decision to see yourself differently. And so, a lot of the times, whenever you start out doing affirmations, like when you first learned about affirmations and you were like real committed to gratitude and journaling in your journal, writing gratitude, writing your affirmations, then something ends up happening where you're like, wait a second, this isn't actually working. And I also feel like I'm lying to myself. See, this is where I'm talking about like the curiosity part comes in because when I had that experience, I went, okay, something's up here, right? I started getting into subconscious, started getting more into shadow work and finding a lot of this deep, this rich inner world that I could tap into. And it was a dark time. It was a very, very dark time. For those of you who have been around for a while, know that it was a very dark. Like I used to sit in my room and do live streams at like 2 a.m. in the total darkness, just like telling the whole internet about what is going on in my life. I had to. It was my creative expression, and I also loved it. But, you know, that was like way after I found out about like affirmations, shadow work, all of that. Like I was well into my magical practice at that point. But anyways, for those of you who remember that time, I think that curiosity of something not being aligned is a really good thing. But the point of this is to not just take this concept of alignment and brush off like the thing that doesn't feel aligned. Of course, it doesn't feel aligned if you are not the person who has a result that you are, reaching for. If we go back to the strategy, for instance, doing lots of this tonight, going back to the strategy, every single time I would do a new strategy in my business, I would find that there was something that felt like off. And I'm like, ugh, I don't want to spend my life doing this, right? So, for instance, one summer, I was running ads to what's called a VSL, it's a video sales letter, and people were able to book a phone call with me, a sales call. I spent my entire summer on fucking sales calls where a lot, I would say close to probably 60% were no-shows. So I really couldn't like just go do anything because I had back to back to back sales calls all day and I had no idea which ones were going to ghost the sales call, right? So clearly that is not aligned. It's not aligned to waste your life on the call. So what I did was I ended up hiring a closer to do my sales calls for me. She did it for about a week. No one closed. So technically I didn't hire her because it was commissions and there was no close, so no hire, right? Um, but after that, seeing how, okay, well, that's not working. What else? Then I decided to do a mini course that would prepare people before we got on a call or had a conversation about my work, that would show them, number one, that they are definitely in the right place or that they're definitely not in the right place and they can just leave, which is great either way. You want them to identify themselves as, yes, this is for me. And then also be able to show them what happens inside your world, inside your work. And I found even better than that, that I actually didn't need to do sales calls if I did it this way. I wouldn't have kept on looking for the most perfect strategy for me if I had just stopped at ads are not aligned, right? For me, it was always about finding and finding and refining, finding the thing that did feel aligned. My throat keeps on going out. I wonder what that's about. Interesting. Anyways, I kept on looking, right? I kept on looking for what was aligned. I didn't just stop, okay? And the way that I know that this is such a big difference is because the first 4 years before that, I had tried a strategy and was like, strategy is not for me. Strategy is not aligned. Okay. That's the difference when you're taking a whole thing like affirmations don't work. Well, yeah, because you're treating them like there's some kind of magic when in actuality, so you could stop saying I am affirmations if you do not believe I am. If you're not in the school of thought that there is no separation, that you are the only power in your world, and that God is separate to you, or there is no God, or whatever, then yeah, saying I am is probably not going to have a lot of power for you. And your nervous system is going to freak out because if you're saying stuff like I am wealthy and your body's going, no, you're not, like, what the hell are you talking about? Then yeah, it's going to feel like you're lying to yourself. So this is why I use power statements instead. And you go more like, I choose to experience myself as a wealthy woman. And then you're in that choice, and so you be that person. And that's kind of, your workaround for affirmations. But if you're treating them like they're that the affirmation is the thing that's actually changing you, then yeah, you're gonna have a problem with it and it's not gonna be aligned. It's not gonna work. So those are just a couple of examples, right? Alignment is not about comfort. Alignment is about your commitment to experiencing yourself the way that you want to experience yourself, experiencing yourself as the woman or the man who has the life that they want, the life and the business. So if you assume that every time something feels slightly off, that it's a lack of alignment, you're going to be stretching your journey out. You're going to be putting a huge gap between where you are and where you want to be. And it doesn't need to be that way. What you're doing is you're keeping yourself inside your little safety bubble, right? Disguising the limiting beliefs as values. I have so many other examples that I could use for like a lack of alignment, but for sake of time, I will like keep them to myself. But something like it's not aligned to be online all the time, right? Or maybe you just don't want to be seen in your power. Maybe you don't want people to say that you don't know what you're talking about, and then you have to deal with that. And then you have to process that, and you're like, wait, I must think that, or else it wouldn't be reflected to me, right? That is uncomfortable to have an experience of a person reflecting back to you something that you believe about yourself. And just so we're clear, every time someone says something rude about you, does not mean you believe that about yourself. If you're triggered by it, then yes, you absolutely do. You absolutely do. You can tell yourself that you don't all day long. Again, like have fun with that. You're going to stay stuck for a long time. It's best for you to really just get radically honest with yourself and be like, damn, I'm triggered. Okay, well, part of me actually believes that. And the truth is that it doesn't matter what part of you, it's a consciousness that is not in service to your most brilliant expression. And ooh, ooh, I was thinking just now too about like how people like give up way, way too early, give up way before the magic even starts working. I was thinking about the affirmations thing, that instead of just listening to that thought of, oh, this isn't working or this isn't aligned or whatever, you got to keep going through that voice because it's your job to make that voice shut the fuck up, to actually submit to the truth of who you are so that you can experience the truth of who you are, so that you can experience yourself as your most brilliant expression. So you can experience magic and pleasure and play and power. Because even if it feels like you're pretending at first, if you really allow yourself to sit in presence and you allow yourself to be in, like, even using a power statement such as something like, I choose to experience the truth of who I am. I choose to go beyond the discomfort and to experience the the version of me that is connected to everything, that is connected to the truth that all versions of you exist right now. All timelines exist right now. How fucking weird can we get it? How weird can we go? What if for a minute I chose to believe that that voice was just fear? Because it is. What if I chose to believe and know that that voice was my sign that I'm really fucking close to the truth? What if that was just my protector doing whatever it can to keep me in this safe space so I don't die? Which, in that case, thank you very much. You're doing your job perfectly, flawlessly. But a lot of people give up before the magic happens because you buy into that voice and keep buying in and keep buying in and keep buying in. Oh my God, just sent like a 15-minute voice message to one of my clients. And I mean, she's been in a funk. She's been in a funk, and I sent her this voice message. I'm like, bitch, you're going to be in flow by Friday. Watch. And like as soon as she listened to it, she was like, "Oh my God, like I am feeling completely different." And like she released her book. She had two sales in like the first 10 minutes or something. It was 14 minutes. Anyways, the point is that there are just certain things that you have to remember. This is where, having support comes in really freaking handy because you could be stuck in something for weeks, for months, and not even know what it is, and then have a 15-minute conversation together, and you're like, what the fuck is this life? Let's go. Right? This is how we collapse time, is by it's not that, your coach or mentor is right and you're wrong. It's that a new possibility is being presented in the midst of your entire nervous system trying to collapse when you're trying to expand, right? Another example is selling feels off for me. Okay. Maybe it just feels off for the version of you who is still afraid of being rejected. Maybe it's because you have a hidden agenda and you think that, selling is bad or wrong, or that people are going to think you're gross or whatever, but you secretly feel like you need people to buy. And so it feels gross because you haven't admitted to yourself that you want people to buy or that you need people to buy, whatever it is. Is it really off? So I really just wanted to put this forward because I do not hear people talking about this. Please know that if something doesn't feel in alignment, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not in alignment. Your intuition is going to be just as much in service to the version of you that you're committed to experiencing as your nervous system. If you're if you're committed to experiencing the next level version of you, your intuition is going to tell you to do some really scary shit sometimes. And it's going to tell you to do that scary shit that doesn't seem relevant to the goals that you have. It's going to tell you to do some off the wall stuff that you're just like, I can't possibly do that. But those moments are your portal into it collapsing time, into experiencing the next level identity that is required for the life that you actually want to experience. Okay, so pay attention to this, and I dare you to allow yourself to go beyond the discomfort of something that doesn't feel aligned and to make sure that you're not totally scrapping the entire idea like the way that I did with strategy in the beginning. This doesn't feel aligned, so it must be all of strategy. Okay, that was a very naive thing that I did. But honestly, it was during a time in the coaching industry, like whenever I came up in the coaching industry, everybody just like was like all the female coaches were just like total shit on strategy. It was all intuition. It was all just in the moment, feminine flow and all of this stuff, okay? And strategy was like no one touched it, right? I always kind of had like this pull to strategy and specifically funnels. And I would reach a point in my funnel build where like things stopped clicking and like I couldn't end up making like the websites talk to each other. Like I didn't know how to connect your email address. Like I didn't know how to do all these little pieces. So I would just get frustrated and be like, ugh, this isn't aligned. If it's not easy, then it's not aligned. It's not for me, right? Bullshit. Bullshit. Some of the hardest stuff that I've ever done has been the most rewarding. And I have plenty of evidence and proof to back up the cliche saying that says you have to be willing to do what most people won't to have what most people can't. That is what that means. Most people will not go beyond the discomfort. Most people will not get the support that's going to hold them to a higher standard than anybody's ever held them in their fucking life. Most people are going to protect their shame at whatever cost, even if it costs them like the most expensive investment that they'll ever make in their life, which is to stay the same. So don't be most people. Don't be most people. Go beyond the point where you think that it's not aligned. Go beyond, get curious. What is this actually? And if you want help with that, and you don't want to have to figure it out yourself, and you want somebody to be able to point, like what's obvious to me is not going to be obvious to you. What's obvious for my support system when they look at me is like blind spots for me. That's what they are. They're blind spots. We all have blind spots. I think my internet's going out. The video's skipping. Anyways, we all have blind spots. We all, we don't need somebody to go in and point at them, but you reach a point in your journey where you prefer that. You prefer not to waste 3 months fucking chasing your tail, trying to figure it out, trying to figure out what's going on. So if you want to bypass that and go so much faster, so much faster. DM me on Instagram. I'll put it in the description. I'll put it in the pinned comment. And let's have a conversation about what would be best for you. My one-on-one work or the mastermind or maybe one of my other programs or memberships. Just reach out. We'll have a talk about it. And you could just let me know if you're like, what do I even say when I reach out? Just let me know, like, what does feel aligned for you right now? What feels really fucking good for you? And the direction that you're going in your life and your business. Okay? That will do it. I'll see you on the next one. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Bye-bye.